All right. Welcome, everyone, to Mindset Monday. I love that the Agent Collective does these calls. It's just such a great way to kick off the week. So appreciate all of you being here. I know you got plenty going on, so I'm going to try to make this as worth your while as I possibly can. So today, and by the way, if at any time you have any questions or you want to chime in about anything, feel free to do so. But today, what I wanted to talk about was three mindset hacks to help you sell more houses. And the reason that I put this whole thing together, I'll talk more about this here in a little bit, but I believe, especially in real estate, that we are on tool overload. I'm like the anti-tool guy. Now, I know that we need tools. Tools help us do our business better, more efficiently, more effectively, all of that kind of thing. But we're in tool overload right now. There's a bazillion AI tools, there's a bazillion CRMs, there's a bazillion tools to help you get more leads, there's a bazillion tools to get you more open houses or farm areas or, just on and on and on and on and on. And what ends up happening is we become a master of learning new tools and we forget the most important part, which is the implementation and the consistency. And I also like to use this analogy. You know, the hammer does not build the house. The person who picks up the hammer and swings it is the one who builds the house. And so when we look at real estate, it's like, hey, I've got this new tool. And so as long as I'm in a state of learning of this new tool, I never have to pick that tool up and actually implement it. See, the problem is all these tools work. All of them work. But the problem is we come to a point where we realize it's kind of hard to swing it. It's kind of hard to like actually make it work. And that's when we go, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right tool for me. This is too hard. I'm going to go to another tool. This one's now starting to get hard. I'm going to go to another tool. And so what ends up happening is we just kind of stall out. And so my belief is that at the end of the day, what really creates a solid business is our mindset. It's our relationship to the world. It's our relationship to our work. It's the things that we say to ourselves. It's the stories that we believe about ourselves and about the world. That shapes and forms everything in our life. And so if we really truly want to create a successful business, and this isn't just a business, if we want to be successful in health, fun, business, money, relationships, any of the major categories of our life, if we want to be successful in any of them, it begins with one thing, and that's mindset. And I think a lot of people agree with me on this. And, in theory, it makes sense. But yet, trying to get people to show up to a mindset course is like pulling teeth. Getting people to show up to something where it's like, hey, you're going to have to work on yourself. We're going to talk about personal development. That's where the magic is. That's the foundation for our entire life. I really, 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 truly believe that. And that's why I love that, Jesse and Autumn and the Agent Collective have put these classes on because I believe that mindset is the foundation of everything that we do. And so if your business isn't where you want it, your health isn't where you want it, your relationships aren't where you want it, I would challenge you to look at your mindset. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? What are the things that you believe to be true that you constantly repeat to yourself that might not be true? Because at the end of the day, a belief is just something we tell ourselves repeatedly. That's it. So if that's what a belief is, then we can change our beliefs. The world is hard, the world is mean, the world is ugly. What if we just started saying, I can do this? The world is my oyster. How might that affect your ability to perform in any facet of your life? So that's kind of the foundation for what I wanted to talk about today. So I want to talk about three, I'm calling them mindset hacks just because it sounds good. I'm going to talk about three things that, in my experience, have massively improved my life in terms of being able to accomplish more with less effort, being able to make more money, solidifying relationships, both with my spouse and my kids, with friends, being able to shape who I'm hanging out with, who's in my inner circle. These are tips that have helped me go from a place of complete despair and desperation and suicidal thoughts and all these kinds of things to somebody who's like, super excited to be here and trying to create something massive, um, and enjoying the craziness of all of it at the same time. It's been a wild journey, but these are three things that have really, really, really helped me um, move forward in a healthy way in my life. And so I want to share those with you today. So the first thing is learning. We've all heard this, right? ABC or always be learning. Um, so what does that mean though? Right? Like here's the reality. We're all learning all the time, whether we know it or not. We hop on TikTok or Facebook stories or whatever it is. We see all these things come through. We're learning. We're learning about other people. We're learning about, maybe you're seeing videos from people in other countries. There is content, there is ideas, there is energy that's flowing into you when you're watching those things. And so the real question is, what are you learning? Maybe you're learning all about American history. Great. Maybe you're learning all about real estate. Great. But at the end of the day, I believe what's most important is that we're intentional about what we're learning. Because sometimes what happens is we get sucked into certain types of content. Maybe there's a podcast that we watch. Maybe it's the news, and we get sucked into this content and we're learning about the world and we're learning that the world is scary. We're learning that people die every day and there's no security. We learn that politics are a complete disaster. We learn that the world is going to explode any day now. Like we learn all these horrible things and we just keep bringing it in. Yeah, give me more of that negativity. Give me more of that stuff that's not really serving me. Now, I'm not saying that we should stick our head in the sand with that kind of stuff, but what this really is a challenge to look inward. What are you learning? And if your objective is to sell more houses, let's just use that as the baseline. Is this content that you're taking in helping you or hurting you from creating the life that you want to live? Because at the end of the day, if you can answer the question like, yes, it's helping me, fantastic, double down. But if you really look at it honestly and you go, man, I don't know. I don't know if this is serving me. Get rid of it for a while. Do a little experiment. Have fun with it. Play. Like, all right, cool. What happens if I don't watch that crap anymore? What happens? And see how your life shifts. So that's the first piece is just becoming more intentional about what you're learning. Um, and the other thing that I want to talk about is this constant state of learning as a crutch to stop us from actually implementing, which is what we'll talk about next. So, in the personal growth and development world, there's people who are addicted to it. They go to every training, they go to every class, they go to everything. And this happens in real estate too. They go to every training, every class, everything that anybody is ever doing. They are there, they're engaged, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of the day, they never implement. And so it's pretty much a waste of time. It's basically what it is it's a distraction. It's a distraction because if I go to these classes and I'm learning, then I'm moving forward, even though I'm not implementing. And so it feels like we're doing something productive when in fact we're just spinning our wheels and not doing anything productive. So the second part with this learning piece is number one, what are you learning? And is it actually fueling your growth? And number two, are you leaning into the learning as a distraction to not have to implement? Because at some point, you just got to move. And I'm going to use an example of agent attraction for myself. Agent attraction is not easy for me. Um, we've got a nice organization going here. But it really takes me out of my comfort zone for whatever reason to talk to people about changing business structures. And so, you know, I have found that the best way for me to learn how to do it is to just start talking to people And I've had some disaster conversations where I'm like, that was horrible. But guess what? I learned. You know, I've had conversations that have gone really well by accident. And I'm like, that was great. Let's keep doing more of that. So there's no better way to learn than to just get thrown into the fire. Here's another great example of that. I used to be a middle school science teacher. When I was in high school and college, I took as little chemistry as I possibly could. I hated chemistry. It didn't make any sense to me. I just didn't do it. I'd get like C's and D's. And when I became a middle school science teacher, I was teaching earth science, and then they switched the curriculum on me, and I had to teach chemistry. And when I had to teach chemistry to 150 eighth graders every single day, you better believe me that, I almost instantly learned chemistry. I learned, oh, this is how you balance an equation. Oh, this is why those two things, react this way, and all these kinds of things that never made sense to me. When I was put in a position where I had to learn it, all of a sudden I learned it. And so if there's something that maybe you're a little nervous about, you don't feel very confident in, try teaching somebody. Maybe there's a partner that you have or a teammate or something like that who you could teach them something about this subject. It's going to help ingrain it more within you. So, I just saw, what was this? Oh, yes, exactly, Allison. Um, so that's the first part. So, like I said, three things that I've learned to help move forward. Number one, learning. And I'm going to reiterate learning with intention. That's really what it's about. Learning with intention. Just learning doesn't help. Learning with intention does. All right. Second thing that has really helped me improve my life in terms of mindset, help me sell more houses, help me create better relationships, all of that kind of thing. Implementation and consistency. If you ask any top producer anywhere, what's the one differentiator between the super successful person and the person that you know just kind of limps along? And I've heard it, I don't countless times. It's one thing: consistency. Do you show up on a regular basis and do the things that you have to do? Consistency is hard. We all know that. It's you wake up, you're in kind of a crappy mood, and it's just like, I don't feel like working today. You have a choice to make. And it's in that choice that our life is defined. It's in that choice. That's where our mindset, it becomes so important because our mindset impacts that choice in that moment. And when you string enough of those choices together, you get a specific outcome, a predictable outcome a lot of times. And so in that moment, when you don't feel good and you know you have work to do, what choice have you been making? Because that choice is going to determine your outcome. And so when we talk about implementation and consistency, it's really easy to say, well, yeah, just do it. Just do it, Nike, just do it. But that's not enough. We know that's not enough. If it was that easy, then everybody would be consistent, everybody would implement, but that's not what happens. So what's the problem? Why is it so hard to be consistent? And my answer to that question is we're all consistent. We are all extremely consistent. It's just, what are you being consistent with? So whatever it is that you're choosing to do that's distracting you from doing the things that you know you should be doing, what is it about that? What that is obviously more important to you. You're consistent with that. So here's the way I look at it. When we know very clearly why we're doing something, we move. Is anybody on this call inconsistent with getting to the bathroom on time? No, we all make it every single time, hopefully, right? We don't have to worry about that. Why? Because we have a very clear understanding of the outcome that we do not want, right? We know why it's important for us to move in that moment. Nobody has to be like, okay, Dan, come on, buddy. Like, come on, put some pep in that step. I know you don't feel good, but you got to go to the bathroom. Let's go. Nobody has to do that to us, right? Because we know why we're moving. And so we're consistent. We're consistent with going to the bathroom, right? Um, we're consistent with our eating habits. We say, oh, I should eat healthier, but I keep eating like garbage. Okay, well, why is eating like garbage and being unhealthy and feeling bad about yourself more important than being healthy? Because the reality is, there is a reason why that is more important. Because maybe it's easy, maybe it's relaxing, maybe it's a habit, maybe, I don't know. But there is a reason why it's more important to do that thing that you say is self-destructive and not do the thing that you say is going to help move your life forward. So if you're having problems with implementation and consistency, I would argue that it comes down to why. Why are you trying to build a real estate business? What is that? What's the benefit to you? Why are you making phone calls to people? Why are you doing open houses? Why are you putting yourself through the pain and the agony and the difficulty of trying to run a real estate business in one of the hardest markets we've seen in what, 30 years? Why? Why would you do that to yourself? Well, I don't know. You have to answer that question. I know why I do it. I've got big plans, big dreams. I know that by putting myself in really tough situations like agent attraction, where I have to have tough conversations with people that I'm not comfortable with, every time I want to quit, I remind myself if I quit, I will never be able to sell any program or enroll anybody into anything that I'm doing if I do not learn how to enroll people into what we are doing here. We're creating something awesome. I just need to enroll people into it. And it's in that practice, it's in that challenge, it's in that like, oh, this is so hard that I become the person that I'm supposed to be. And so when I don't want to be consistent, when I don't want to implement, I go back to that why, because this is making me better. Because I want to create something, a legacy for my kids. I want to create something for myself. I want to show that I can do it. That's important to me. I want to be challenged. I want to be uncomfortable. As much as I hate it sometimes, I have discovered that the other side of uncomfortable is so much more magical than living in the fear and being comfortable. There's that choice again. We can choose to be comfortable, we can choose to grow, but we can't do both. And so, if you're having trouble with this implementation and consistency, go back to your why. Why are you putting yourself in these positions? And just try to understand what it is that's driving you. And whenever you wake up and you're in a bad mood and it's like, I just don't feel like making my calls today, maybe I'll just want to go hit golf balls or watch a quick show or hop on my phone and start doom scrolling or whatever it is. Just go back to your why. Wait, why is it in my best interest to to do this hard thing? And then just do it. The other thing that I'll say on this is, for those of you that know me, you know that I am all about simple, 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 simple. Like I'm like the KISS guy, right? Keep it simple, stupid, or whatever you want to call it. I believe in that. When we have too many things going on, we end up doing a lot of things really poorly instead of doing one thing really well. And so it's better to make one phone call than to make zero phone calls, right? We all know that. And so, can we break down this big elephant of whatever the elephant is that's in front of us? Um, can we break that down into bite-sized pieces? And one way that I do that is through a greatness tracker. I have my weekly line items, the things that I need to track, and I write down who I called and whether they answered. I write down, um, you know, whether I open my day and close my day, calls to Sphere, calls to agents, face to faces, whatever, all of these things, right? And then what I do is every day I track those things. And so the reason that I do that is because it simplifies everything. So it takes it from, I want to sell 20 houses this year to I just need to make 6 phone calls today. Which sounds easier, selling 20 homes or making 6 phone calls? Right? So by simplifying, by chunking things down, oftentimes that can create movement and it can get us unstuck. Because sometimes, for me especially, I'm a future thinker. I don't know if any of you are future thinkers, but it's a gift and a curse, just like anything, because I have a really hard time staying in the present. And when I start going future, I'm like, oh my God, that elephant is so big. I am never going to eat this thing. And it makes me want to quit sometimes. And then I have to bring myself back and be like, hold on a second, Dan, you're fine. Go to your daily routines and just make 1 phone call, just get started. Because if you don't make that 1 phone call, that pain of comfort is going to be way more painful than, actually just taking action and then being like, oh, that was good. Okay, cool. Let's make another call. Okay, cool. Let's make another call. So consistency really stems from understanding why you're moving. And once again, I just want to reiterate the opposing piece of that is if you're always on your phone doom scrolling instead of working, I would challenge you to ask the question, why? Why am I so motivated to get on my phone and doom scroll? Why am I so consistent with that thing and not consistent with this over here? What is it about that that's making my life so great that I have to keep doing it? Because there's something there. There's something that's making your life so great that it's more worth it to you. You understand why you're doing it on a subconscious level. If you can understand that subconscious context of why you're doing that, you can start to unravel it and you can start to change the story. You can change the belief in your mind through intention. And as you do that, you're going to start seeing that your consistency is going to start to increase. All right. So the last mindset hack, as I call it, to help sell more homes is one of my favorites, and that's authenticity. Authenticity is magnetic. So I was just I was on my phone on Facebook, I think yesterday or something, and there was this experiment with the tuning forks, right? And it's like there's 2 tuning forks here, and you tap one and put it next to the other one, and they're at different frequencies and they don't really resonate with each other. There's like a ball kind of hanging against this one, and then you do the same frequency and hold it up, and then this one starts vibrating and the ball starts moving. And so it just kind of evidences that these two things are now working together. And so the whole idea behind it is like frequencies resonate together. And so when we are authentic, when I'm authentic, I resonate as Dan. And people can pick up on that. It's subconscious oftentimes, but you guys know how this works. You walk into a room and you're like, whoa, who's that person? Like they've got a strong energy, and you're either attracted to it or you're repelled by it. And both of those can be wins in my book. I've learned a long time ago, people pleasing. I did a lot of people pleasing, especially when I was teaching, when I was coaching basketball. I was trying to move up the ladder as a coach and talking with parents and all that kind of stuff. And then when I first got into real estate, I thought that I needed to be like Mr. Nice Guy and like Johnny on the spot and like, oh yeah, 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 no problem. Yeah, yeah, I can do that. Okay, cool. And the problem was I wasn't communicating clearly and I wasn't communicating authentically, and it was actually making the problem worse. And when I finally just started handling problems in real estate as Dan, it went so much smoother. And if somebody didn't like the way that I was handling it, no problem. We'll figure it out. We'll work through it. They probably won't refer me again. Cool. I don't want to work with their friends anyway, not because they're bad people, but because we don't resonate. And so what happens is the more that we are authentic, the more we show up as our true self. And by the way, I just want to caveat this here. That does not mean this whole concept of like, you're beautiful just the way you are and you should never change. Right? That's just not true. Like true authenticity means that I am constantly trying to improve myself while at the same time accepting where I'm at and being good with that. Like we should accept who we are. We should accept where we're at. Absolutely. With the caveat though, that we're also constantly working on ourselves to make ourselves better. That's where the magnetism comes in. People are going to see that, they're going to feel that, and they're going to be like, I want to be by that person. They're going to make me better. And it's going to draw people to us. I've learned this through experience. I'm sure some of you have as well. And then what happens is we draw those people to us just by being ourselves, being magnetic, being confident in who we are. And by the way, confidence gets breeded from that idea of I accept who I am right now, but I know I'm getting better because that's an unshakable foundation. When we can look at ourselves and be like, yeah, screwed that one up. That's all right. Next time I'm going to do it better. We understand where we are and we understand we're going to get better. Nobody can shake you at that point because you know that you're working as hard as you possibly can to be the best version of yourself. That's confidence. And so what happens is when we go out into the world and we're trying to connect with clients, when we're authentic, when we're magnetic, we draw people to us, we handle situations in an authentic way to us, that's going to resonate with a lot of people. And then what's going to happen is they're going to refer us. And they're going to refer us to people who see the world the same way. And they're going to refer us to people that see the world the same way. So just by being authentic, by letting go of all the garbage, like it's this weight gets lifted off of us. By doing that, we will actually sell more real estate because we're, by doing less, by the way, just by being us, being genuine, being authentic, we will do more business by bringing people to us. And the last thing that I want to hit on with this piece of authenticity is this communication piece. So, like I said, when I was first in real estate, I was trying to please my clients and it didn't go well. And when I started communicating authentically, it really, really helped. However, learning the skills of communication and then taking those skills and plugging them into our authentic self, that's a superpower. That's a superpower. Like if we can learn how to communicate at a very high level while at the same time being 100% genuine and authentic, whoo, like that's what I'm working on right now. And I'm already starting to see the fruits of that learning, right? Of diving in, of getting uncomfortable, of implementing and crashing and burning and succeeding. And like I'm doing all those things right now. And what I can tell you is my level of communication with people is like skyrocketing. And once again, it's a connection between communicating as Dan and taking tactics and like kind of bringing them together. You cannot learn that in a book. You can only learn that through implementation. Now, with that being said, there are some really good communication books out there on how to be better communicators. And so I just wanted to throw a couple of those recommendations out there. One of my all-time favorites is How to Win Friends and Influence People is one. And that's like an oldie, but a goodie. Super Communicators. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was on the Ed Milet podcast. Super Communicators is probably the best book on communication I've ever read because it's super clear, straightforward. And then there was another one when I was doing a lot in the divorce real estate world. It's called BIFF. And that book is all about how to communicate with narcissists. So it's really interesting. It stands for brief, informative, factual, and brief, informative, factual, and dang it, I can't remember the other F. Um, anyway, basically, it's about just being a direct communicator, being a clear communicator, and being able to like break it down for narcissists. So that's a good one too. So I just wanted to throw those out there. So just to summarize here, because we're coming up on time, three things that have really helped me grow in my life: being a lifelong learner and being intentional about what I'm learning and how I'm learning it. Number two, implementation and consistency. So understanding why I'm making the choice to move and then leaning into that choice. So even when I don't feel like moving, I do move. And then number three, authenticity, being authentic, bringing that authentic personality, but constantly looking for ways to improve and get better so that we can attract people to us. So, boom, right at 9:30. Yeah, Allison, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Why do we want to communicate with narcissists if we're being authentic? Just curious.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So one of the reasons I don't do much in the divorce world anymore, but I did a lot of training on that a number of years ago and um, built a pretty substantial business out of it. And so I had to learn how to communicate with narcissists because oftentimes because the only divorces that I would see were the ones that were at attorneys. So they're very contentious, right? And oftentimes there's a narcissist involved. Whether it's the man or the woman or whatever, there's usually a narcissist involved. So I had to learn how to communicate with narcissists. The reason that I saw that as being so relevant is that the attorneys didn't know what was going on in the real estate world, but also if there's a narcissist, there's somebody getting their butt kicked.
Mm,
And I want to be that resource that is like, I am here, I'm that calm, in the chaos, we're going to get this thing done, we're going to get this house sold. And so I needed to be very skilled at what I did to navigate that process for both people.
yeah, I've done a couple divorces and it's not my niche because I want ease and abundance
Yeah.
and that's not my deal. You
It,
know,
it's
the
it's it's hard. I thought I was ambulance chasing at first, and I actually had no intention of doing it. But then I ended up doing this training out in California. Spent 5 days out there, and like we had judges come in. I mean, it was like this huge thing. And what I discovered was that it's a grossly underrepresented
Mhm.
facet of our
It's a
industry.
profitable niche. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
not, I don't resonate with
yeah,
it, for being authentic.
yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I just saw it as an opportunity to serve, I guess is
Yeah, okay, I agree.
right. Yeah. So
I don't want anything that's going to pull my vibration down. So,
it will do that.
yeah.
It
So
will
I
do.
think, yeah, we should all be here to lift each other up.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
mean, it's I mean, I'm happy to talk about it more. It's a niche that needs to be
yeah.
served,
Hmm.
but it's hard. I did it for
Yeah.
about 2.5 years. And then I was like, I just don't think I can do this anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel you.
I don't blame you, but thank you for the answer because I was like, I don't know if I want to waste time learning to deal with a narcissist because I prefer not to have that as my client.
Yeah. But let's just flip that on its head.
Okay.
You might not want to work with a narcissist, but if
But
you
they
do
might,
work with one and you have no idea how to work with them, they're going to steamroll
then I
everything.
need tools. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, they're so good at manipulating and just
Right.
like,
I just fired one
yeah,
on Friday. So,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I should put the book in there. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jackie. Uh,
Okay. Well, that was a good discussion. I appreciate that because I'm like, I like the authenticity and, it was very,
yeah.
very good. I
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, thank you. Any other thoughts or questions before we wrap up?
Good morning. Could you give us the name of the other two books you had?
Yeah, Super Communicators. Jackie got a free copy of Biff that she uploaded. Thank you, Jackie.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
If nothing else, it's a great one to scan. Super Communicators is the other one. And then How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's
Thank
just
you.
like a basic, like one of the OGs of like how to communicate. Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, awesome. Well, I appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.